You want a better life. Let's make it real. This is a better life. From scars to stars, from pain to bulletproof, to reach a better life. A better life with you. Talking news, pop culture life, love and scandal, heart to heart. No playing small, we rise, we fall, we laugh, we do it all. A better life is one brave call to reach a better life. Let's build a better life. Let's build a better life. A better life to reach a better life.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, and I'm glad to see you here. Say hello in the comments, please. Cisco, if you're not here yet, I can't see you. If you're not in the comments, I can't see you. But so Cisco, hopefully Cisco joins. Hi, Retro. Hello. Good to see you back. Okay, so Cisco, the last stream we had was it Monday? I don't know when it was, but we had somebody in the comments. Hi, Jats. Hello, Texas. Hello from Wisconsin. So Cisco Terrace, they'll probably, I want to say she. I have no idea the gender of that person, and it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like, I just always want to say she, but anyway, Cisco, we had in the comments somebody was giving us a hard time and calling us loons because, we think there's a big conspiracy theory, and because we are teaming with Candace to try to investigate this further and all that stuff. Anyways, they called us loons. They called us loons. I booted them from the comments. One of our we have a regular listener or person who joins, a subscriber. We call them letters. They're a real long alphabet of just jumbled letters. Anyways, they said, well, that's better engagement, but I'd rather have peace. I mean, if it has to get messy, it has to get messy. I'm like, if I have to fight, I'll fight. If I don't have to fight, I won't. So anyway, it's a little bit quiet. Yeah, so I love your music at the end of yesterday's live. Thank you. That's the theme song I have for now, and I really like it too. Thank you. I wrote it. And it makes me jump, and then it gets stuck in my head. Actually, I'll go to bed thinking about it, or wake up thinking about it. But anyways, so Cisco said that they would change their profile picture to a loon so that we could match that. And I guess yesterday when they were on, it's a picture of a loon. So if Cisco gets to join us today, then we'll get to see that. And it didn't register yesterday. And you remember how I said I was feeling more like myself and so much better, but everybody else was sick around here. So I wake up feeling not great today, and like I could sleep literally all day, but there's too much to talk about and too much to explore. I don't see that Candace has let us know what time she's going on. I know she usually lets us know a half hour in advance, so we do have some time. So because she still hasn't let us know, so I'm assuming she's not going on at 4:30, possibly 5 o'clock, which gives us a lot of time. But I wanted to share. First of all, I wanted to ask you a question because I don't know how many here are paying attention to the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively lawsuit out of Hollywood. It ends with Us is the movie that Blake Lively was doing with Justin Baldoni. He was the director, and there was there's a big lawsuit going on. In case you didn't know, and so she came out and she had last year around August when the premiere of the movie hit, we noticed that Justin Baldoni, the director and lead male actor in the film, wasn't at the premiere, and everybody was wondering what was going on. And after that, then we find that she's made some allegations against Justin Baldoni for harassment and all of that. Anyway, most people started out as we do, we believe the victim. Like, I think most people, unless you've been burned a lot, I feel like you believe the victim because that's just, I mean, you know, especially, I want to say like women are believed more than men. I think it's still hard for men in this day and age to get taken seriously. And I don't think they get taken seriously nearly as much as women do. Anyway, a lot of people were, you know, believing that it was true what Blake Lively was saying about Justin Baldoni. However, the things that she alleged and the things that she said were quickly debunked by Justin Baldoni. And oh yeah, Candace covered it, and and that's how I actually really got into Candace because Jazz here, let me go. Let me put that on their screen. Yeah, so I wasn't a super big fan of Candace Owens before that point, and had really believed. Oh no, my mic! I'm so sorry. I've been on. How did that mute? I don't even know how long have I been on mute? Oh my goodness. That's crazy. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, sorry. Thank you for that. Okay, so we started covering the case. So Candace Owens covered the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively case, and I'm sorry guys. I don't know how long that was on mute for. Just quiet. Okay. Let me turn. Is it quiet for everybody else? Okay. So anyway, I wasn't a Candace Owens fan. I just believed, okay, thank you. Cisco, the loon. I was just telling them about the loon and the backstory behind the loon picture that I had. I didn't notice until after the program ended yesterday. Anyways, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So we're just going quickly over the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively thing. Anyway, so when Candace covered the lawsuit, I was like, okay, so I feel like she got behind Justin Baldoni. She called him our cousin because she was really had the same mindset as I do, is that somebody, you know, was trying to ruin a good man's life. And, you know, we don't want to do that. And anyway, so we saw proof, Justin Baldoni showed proof that the things that Blake Lively was saying here, I'll put my mic closer too, it was misrepresented. So she would clip certain things to make it look and sound a certain way. But when he came out with the full text messages, and there's a website about it, anyways, it appeared as though she was being dishonest and trying to make us turn against Justin Baldoni. And she's got this long history of doing this to other actors. And she's admitted herself that she's done this. I mean, she's outright told us who she is. Anyway, so a lot of paper, a lot of the depositions and all of that information is being unsealed and released now to the public. So that's still going on. I haven't caught up on that yet because I really covered it and followed it last year. A good amount of time, and then, you know, I had gone into surgery and then came right before the Charlie Kirk thing happened, and so I've really been focusing on Charlie Kirk. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff. I'm a loon too. Anyway, so I finished listening to jump over to talking about how men aren't as we don't bel they're not believed in society and supported as much or as easily as women are when they talk about uh, issues of being abused or trafficked or all of that. And we definitely hear it a lot less frequently. Of course, that makes sense because society has just traditionally been that way. But anyway, I finished listening to the Sasha Riley uh, portion of the interview that the reporter Lisa Noel Voldeg had released. I finished that today. Did you guys go take a listen to that? It's pretty intense. I will play. I wanted to play some of the last bit because he talks about he implicates Donald Trump, Clarence Thomas. Let me get the other names. I'm always so bad at the names, at keeping them in my head. Andy Biggs and who else was it? Goodness. So there was Andy Biggs and there was another one. Jim Jordan. So he implicates Donald Trump as being the person in charge. Epstein, of course, his impression as a child being used by these people says that his impression is that Donald Trump was in charge of the whole thing. Like this was being done for him. So as I'm listening today, listening to more of this, and of course this whole topic is coming up in relation with Turning Point USA, Turning Point Faith, and all of that. I thought I had this thought about Donald Trump and that he was involved in this, and I tend to believe it, actually, and especially the fact that they are really stonewalling us when it comes to the Epstein files. But I don't think Donald Trump's that smart. Like, I think he's manipulated and he's played a lot, and I think he's more Donald Trump's for Donald Trump. So not trying to get into politics a whole lot. One of the things that I dislike about the reporter and her talking to Sasha Riley is really them leaning toward, well, this is an issue on the left, and that they are on the left, so they're more democratic, is from what it sounds like, and they're talking about the Republicans trying to hide it. So, but the truth of it is that this has been covered up and hidden by both parties, and they're all intertwined and they're all mixed up into this. And I think TPUSA, TP Faith is right in the middle of it. I'm going to come over here and refresh Candace's stream to see if she has a time yet. She doesn't. Okay. So Sasha talks about being in a brothel in Tennessee. He talks about that he was used, and at the time, he didn't realize Donald Trump was Donald Trump. It was just, he knew the rich people, you know the people that are the important people that are coming in. And so he recognized him as an important rich person. And it wasn't until Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, when Donald Trump showed up on that, and he was older, that he realized, oh, that's him. That's Donald Trump. And so that's how he's able now to talk about who he believes. So I'd really prefer it if they just not focus on whether it's Republican or Democrat, because I don't think that's the important part, right? That's the least of it. So I will, and so I'm just going to, we won't play all of this. Let me see if I can share my screen, but I wanted to play you some because he kind of talks about here how the whole filming of the times with the kids being recorded, and sometimes life taken away from them. I'm trying to be careful. I'm not super familiar with how YouTube wants to strike things or, whatever, but I want to try to be sensitive to that. So anyway, that he had witnessed some of these times of the people's life ending during the recording of these incidents, but that his overall impression was that it was being done for these people in charge. So let me share this. Okay, come up here. So I'm gonna put this.
Are you okay if I record right now?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Well,
So in the batch that she has released, this is the last one. It's a 15-minute. We won't play the whole thing, but it's a 15-minute audio recording. So it's over on Substack if you want to watch the whole thing. There's 6 parts of that so far.
what was going on there in Alabama where they got caught with those 10 kids, that's just essentially what I came from, something like that. And as I understand it, 5 of the kids out of the 10 were related to the people running the operation.
The Trump Epstein operation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, in as much as these people are going to go down, they were working for somebody.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that those people, and they deserve to go to prison and all of that stuff, but they were running this deal and filming their films and doing all the things that they were doing for somebody else. So whoever, Epstein's not running it anymore. Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison, but I would just about guarantee you that wasn't the end of it.
Yeah. So with those, when we were just discussing with the parties, those torture parties with the girls at the brothels, they'd go to the parties, and often they didn't come back from the parties. We summarize again what was going on there.
Well, sometimes they would go to the party and they would be beaten to death or tortured to death at the party by the client. Other times they would go to the party, and depending on I know sometimes the status of the person that the girls had been an escort for would be problematic because they wouldn't want to leave like a witness.
So he's talking about here how the girls who were recorded, and there were more females than males involved in this, they would get them to participate, and the promise was that they could meet a rich person and be swept away and taken away from their life, and if the rich person liked them, then they'd be rescued out of this. And so a lot of the females participated willingly. I say willingly, we say they're coerced, trafficked, taken, runaways, foster children, all of that stuff. So they would be coerced into doing this after, a long time of realizing, oh, no, nobody's coming for us, nobody's going to help us. Then they'd start to rebel, and they'd start to run away, or they'd start to cause problems, or they'd steal, or whatever. They'd make it a problem. And so then they would disappear, these girls. So then they'd bring in, fresh new people with the same type of promise. And so anyway, Sasha has talked about one point when he met Donald Trump, that he was, I don't know, I think he damaged Donald Trump. So I don't know if this is true or not, and I haven't. This is part of I'll spend this evening and tomorrow looking into this. And of course, I don't think there's any way to know unless a doctor corroborates this, but Donald Trump, it's been said that he wears adult diapers and that he's incontinent. This person, Sasha, claims that the damage happened to Donald Trump to make him that way during one of these interactions with him, specifically, that Sasha was a kid, was told to do something, and he was trying to hurt Donald Trump and ended up damaging him to the point, Sasha damaged Donald Trump to the point of allegedly having to wear an adult diaper because it caused him incontinence. So that is, I mean, that's a lot. And apparently, this reporter helped Sasha get to another country and get safe. So I don't, I don't know what we have past that. As I'm looking, I don't think that the reporter has released the rest of the audio files, but that's what's going on with that. And if it is true, it's explosive, and we know, I think we all get the feeling and we know that something involves both the Democrats and the Republicans. Otherwise, if the Republicans had it and it was just the Democrats, the Republicans would release it. If the Democrats had it and it was just the Republicans, they'd release it. So they're all at this point, which is a dangerous place to be, I feel like, for us as citizens and voters, as when both teams are coordinating together to keep a secret. That's not great news, but we can keep pushing that and we can keep talking about it, which is what we're here to do. And it looks like Candace is going on at 5, so I'm going to cue that up over there. Anyway, I am going to flip over and share my screen because apparently Candace and Nick Fuentes are in another little scuffle on X. Do you guys follow this on X? I'm going to flip over and share my X screen. So I haven't looked at this yet, so you guys are going to watch it with me and we'll see what it's about. Okay. Is it there? That's not it. Okay, there we go. Okay. That was her. Okay. So that's not it. Sorry, guys. Okay. No, that's not it. Did she delete it? Hold on. No. I think it was deleted. Okay, it's not on there any longer. But it was a conversation between her and Nick doing a little fight. Okay. Anyways, that's taken down. That's interesting. Unless I can find it again. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, do you remember the hug between Donald Trump and Erica Kirk at the memorial? I'm going to stop doing air quotes because when I go back and analyze my videos, I do air quotes. And I do that because sometimes the words that other people have used or that I'm using, they're hyperbolic, and so I just say that. Vivid, check her replies. Okay, hold on. Hi, Vivid. Scuffle. That's it. That's it. Scuffle. Okay, I'm gonna check her. Okay. So X is one of the ones I'm not exactly. Men beating women. No, it's not there. That's in. Oh wait. Oh, okay, but I don't know. I don't want to play that one actually. Anyway, okay. So yeah, X is I'm not super familiar with it, but I do some. And anyway, okay. So do you remember the hug between Donald Trump and Erica Kirk? Because for some reason, well, from the time it happened, I'm like, oh, Donald Trump does not seem to want to hug her. And I'm going to play it because I want you guys to look at it again and tell me what you see. And from this perspective, okay, you know how when Donald Trump goes in to shake hands with people and he like exerts his masculinity, and he like will hold them and shake them hard and kind of pull them in, and like he's showing his alpha maleness, you know what I'm talking about. So this has been in the back of my head ever since it happened, of Erica Kirk and how she hugged him, and for me, when I was watching it, I'm like, he's trying to pull away from her, and I don't think he likes her. But I wanted to see what you think, because I felt like this was it just struck me all of a sudden yesterday, was when I was watching it, as this being the equivalent of her asserting herself over Donald Trump. And I make no mistake, I think Donald Trump does things that Donald Trump wants to do, but I also think he's not wholly in charge. But I'm going to share this and see. How can I make that bigger? There we go. Okay. So when I first saw this, I'm like, oh, she's like, I don't know, and he's trying to get away and everything. But for whatever reason, yesterday, as I was pondering it, going about my day, and not necessarily, yeah, it's cringe, not necessarily having that in mind, but it just popped into my head, and that, guys, I think Erica Kirk is far more in charge and far more Turning Point USA than we ever may have thought before. And I think she's right in the middle of this. And to me, that felt like she's in charge, and like she's seeming like she's wanting comfort or that, but she was really, I felt like it was asserting herself, her dominance, asserting her dominance. There's no other way to say it, as that's really what I think was going on. So anybody else? It did. I was like, it didn't even ever hit me right when I first saw it. But anyway, so there was another video, and I was trying hard to find that before I kicked off the live too. Who is watching the coverage about the assassination? Number one, not the gun that they're saying, but being that microphone pack and that battery pack. There are, let's see. Okay, so I have this we're going to look at too. It's Ian Carroll. Cancel Ian Carroll is his name on YouTube and his podcast, and then the Real Baron podcast. So they're talking about this whole microphone thing, to where the battery, the microphone, and whatever happened, the initial point of impact on his body that caused the trauma and caused his death, is, or part of it, happened in the mid part of his chest, that there was an explosion, that it exploded the battery, the little spot on over here, and that the shrapnel came up, and you can see it like hit his neck, and that's what caused that injury to where we saw all the blood coming out. And so part of that, I'm gonna share my screen here, is the company who the government made a contract with to do this explosive. Um, Allegedly, they had a contract with this company to a little bit before Charlie Kirk's assassination. Then they were supposed to deliver it a month beforehand, and a month afterwards, this whole building, this company that manufactured these shaped charges, is what they're called, burned to the ground. It exploded and killed everyone over in Nashville. So here, let me get this.
In the specific details about two of their different facilities capacities, and they're actually talking about their various facilities and what they build at those facilities. And then this is another area that consists of two multi-level buildings purpose built for this. And they make all kinds of things. Cast items include mining boosters, warheads, grenades, mortars, shape charges, and TNT cylinders. So this is just a bit of that verification process of realized that actually, yes, this plant, to recap, this plant that blows up 1 month after Charlie Kirk was assassinated out of nowhere, they specialize in, among other things, shaped charges. And John Bray, who's got a lot more expertise in this than I do, was talking about how they actually work with the exact type of explosive material that he suspects was in the shaped charge that he's discussing. And he's talking about building actually a model to try to replicate the damage to a microphone and try to test that plastic out afterwards. But we'll have to wait and see what he pulls up on that. That is okay. So Baron, I want to ask you about the contracts that you found. Okay. Because I was digging into the contracts too. And I think I probably found some of the same contracts as you when you dig into, oh, that's other stuff from Candace.
Yeah. So you can actually see, excuse me, guys. You can actually see in the videos where he has Charlie Kirk's got this magnet that's holding on the mic or the receiver pack, and it moves across exactly at the trajectory of where the shrapnel hits in his neck. And yeah, you can see it very clearly. They talk about the electrocution event causing his hands to close and his ring to fall off like it did, because you can see that clearly in the video. A ring shoots off his hand. That doesn't happen from a bullet. That just doesn't. So and I know those things are magnetized. So in order for that to shoot off the hand, I don't even know what in the world would cause that. But yeah, it. Anyways, the production manager in charge of that plant, there was one that had quit or changed, or he left, and then there was a new person in place. Anyways, all the people, the whole plant, gone. So what I had found or had seen on X-ray, and I'm not, the government's blocking me. No, they're saying that Dan Flood looks like he had some injuries to his hand and that his watch case had been broken. And so I was trying to find that video for you guys, and I couldn't right before. Of course, I went on. I should have bookmarked it, but anyways, and I think that was at Patriot. What's his name? I don't follow too many people here, so I might be able to find it. But anyway, Dan Flood, it appears to have his hand damaged and his watch is cracked. And they think that they saw some of the shrapnel of that plastic stuff. If you guys remember on one of Candace's shows, in the back of the vehicle, there's plastic shards on the ground. So they are saying that there was plastic shards on the table and then some stuck in Dan Flood's hand. So Okay, the other thing is, did you guys hear about that Ford worker getting suspended? So the Ford worker who, when Donald Trump was touring the plant, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. He was touring the plant, and somebody was shouting out that he protects pedophiles and all that. So Donald Trump flips him off and mouths the words "F you" to him. Well, he was suspended, and he's backed by a union, so they're trying to fight it. But anyway, they started a GoFundMe for this guy, and it's raised, the last I checked this morning, it was $800,000 to, which I love that the America is getting behind this and protecting our free speech. And I said it to you guys yesterday. I'm like, I wonder if he'll lose his job. Well, he's suspended, and so they're going through that whole process. And I'm going to do a search on that. Let me share my screen with you. So you guys. Why? Add to stage. Okay, there we go. Okay. Well, as I look for this though, what is his name? To watch. Okay. Meet Dan Flood. No, that's not the one. Let me see if we can see it on here. On the table. The shrapnel that they're talking about. Stop screen. Okay. Here it is. Oh, it won't play. Okay. Okay. It's not letting me share this with you. Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I don't see any shrapnel on that one, so I don't think that one's the one. Anyways, if you guys find it, let me know if you're searching. Let's see, Cisco. A good reason why they had to dig up all the dirt and lay cement pavers on top of the ground because the plastic, yes, broke into thousands of pieces. That's what I'm thinking too. And yeah, the guy doesn't have to work for a while. Yeah, for sure. So let me see. I think so I was telling everybody before a lot of people came in is that I was telling you guys how I was feeling like myself again after 3 weeks of not feeling great, and then everybody else was sick, and so now I'm back to feeling so great. Anyway, okay, so did you guys go to look at that website yesterday? Candace had connected it or put the link of it in her video from yesterday. What was that? Positive. Let me see if I can find it. Project Looking Glass.
Likely relates to another shady government CIA program.
What is it called?
Which came to be known
Be
as Project
Inspired.
Glass. This
Anyways, did you guys go look at Be Inspired's website? The link that she provided. So I went and I spent till midnight looking through some of the videos there, and it's super interesting. How many of you believe in this whole timeline, the whole timeline thing? Or mimicking. Okay, Candace's title. Okay, I'm gonna stop this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I believe in the whole timeline thing. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not, you know, I'm not completely rejecting it, but it seems really like a bizarre thing. I'm going to see if I can get it on here. And then somebody had commented that we should go look at the Matrix again with the whole new timeline in mind. Okay, guys, I'm going to excuse myself here for a minute. I'm going to share my screen to Candace, is okay? I have to take a quick little break here and take care of my throat. Oh, this isn't it. Hold on. Okay. Share screen. That's the one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share this. I'm going to exit my screen and give me 3 minutes. Sorry about that. My audio does seem to be a bit low still. Okay, I'll put this mic closer and turn up the volume. Gosh darn it. Okay, I'm just going to keep this mic closer then. Is that better, guys? I think I might be talking a little bit more quietly too because my throat is a little bit sore. Give me a few minutes and I'll be right back. I've got to go have a little bit of a coughing spell, okay? I'll be right back. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for hanging in there. Okay, I'm going to turn up my mic. So if I can't talk louder, I'll just turn my mic higher and see how that is. Is that better, guys? Can you hear me better? Is the computer audio good? Like when I play a video, is that good for you? Let me know. Can you, how is my audio? Hope it's a little louder. It's a little louder. Yes, when you play the video, it's really loud. Okay. Okay. So there. Okay. I'll keep the microphone closer to my face. So, and it looks like she has a thumbnail of Nick. Well, that's so interesting. Can you hear me now? Hello? Okay. Is this louder, guys? Okay. Thank you, Vivid. I'll keep it up at that volume. So it looks like Candace is going to talk about Nick Fuentes based on that thumbnail. Okay, and while we're looking at that, I'm going to go see if I can. This is it. I found it, you guys. So how long do we have before she goes on? Okay, I'm gonna flip and share this screen because I found it. This is the one that I haven't seen. Okay. So she says it's literally satanic, occult pedophilia. Yes, this is a guiding theology amongst the elite, and Nick is trying to assist them in convincing the world that Satan is a conspiracy theory. This is why he always runs cover for Brigitte Macron. The elites practice ritualistic, satanic child abuse, and even the slightest incursion into the history of Sigmund Freud and his perverted Viennese colleagues, whose offspring are still in power today and whom establish Hollywood in our mainstream media apparatus, will lead you to this conclusion. If Nick would like to debate this topic, I am completely game, since, I'm a sub-Saharan African and he's so naturally brilliant. Okay. So did she post this? So let's see if we can hear.
Said, and the point that I'm making about Epstein, people are, but what I said, and the point that I'm making about Epstein, people are getting caught up in the sensationalism of pedophile. And I said this last year when the story broke. I said the exact same thing. I said, yes, they are sex crimes. Obviously, it is human trafficking. Obviously, according to the law, it is statutory rape. But it is in the service of a blackmail ring for intelligence. It is important not to lose sight of that. And this is a category error. People say you're a pedo protector, but Trump is not protecting pedophiles because they're pedophiles. He's protecting sex criminals because they are a part of a subversive intelligence network. That's the point. And I said that in July, and I said that when there was more urgency for the files to be released in the fall. I said, let's not get too hung up on the sensational details of the actual sex crime, because this is not just about somebody was trafficking girls somewhere. That's not the story. The story is someone was trafficking girls to acquire blackmail to sell to Israel. That is the point. And that is what I said last night. I said, for someone to make it all about pedophilia, I said, it's kind of just like, it's not really true, because again, it does get away from what's happening there. It is not satanic pedophilia cult stuff. It is really run-of-the-mill prostitution and sex trafficking, but for a international political purpose. And it's important not to lose sight of that. I saw Marjorie Greene say this is about female victims. It's actually not about female victims. It's about the integrity of our government. You understand the difference? It's not to say we're not sympathetic. It's not to say that it's not criminal. It's not to say that it's good. I'm not defending it. I'm saying this is not Dateline. This is not a human interest story. This is a layered crime. It's one crime in the furtherance of a much more politically significant crime. But all these dumbasses, I mean, they literally just don't have the IQ to understand that. For them, it's just about screeching about the same nonsense every day. They don't understand what they're talking about. They have no idea about anything. They hear something they don't like. They say, oh, he's with Israel now. He got paid. I'm sorry. I've been doing this way longer than you. When did you come on the scene? When did you get red pilled? Last year? 10 minutes ago? When did you start talking about this stuff? Oh, now you're the expert and the gatekeeper. I'm done with that shit. I'm out. Seriously. You don't have to unfollow me because I'm out. This whole movement of Gen X idiots that are obsessed with satanic pedophile elite and psycho conspiracy kookery that doesn't even make sense, this Candace Owens bullshit, I'm out of all that. Seriously. I'm done with it.
Okay. Hopefully that's better, RetroPlink. Okay. Okay. So what he's saying is he doesn't think it's satanic. Yeah, it's illegal, against the law. People are doing it. It's the run of the mill, child trafficking, human trafficking, prostitution, all of that, that it has nothing to do with satanic rituals and evil. So one of the things that Candace is saying and why it's a big deal is because there is good and evil and that she thinks it's part of a satanic cult and that Satanists are running our country, that Satanists have infiltrated or are part of running TPUSA, one of our largest NGOs right now that are public facing. Yes, yes, just go just your regular run-of-the-mill sexual predation. Exactly. Does it sound better, RetroPlink, for you? I put my mic closer, and I'm trying to talk a little bit louder now too. So one of the things that was on that website that I was telling you that where Candace had recommended yesterday was they actually one of the videos talked about is there good and well okay is there God first of all are there demons evil the devil hell all that stuff. So it was one of the you know it was actually really really interesting, one of the most interesting ways that I've heard somebody explain it and talk about good and evil, God, demons, the devil, hell, all of that. Operating system mic volume. Cisco, are you talking to me or to Retro? So how's my volume? Is it okay, guys? I'm going to see about this here. What time is it? 53. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find that video real quick to show you. Can't go to yesterday's show because, as I said, my short-term memory is not as great. Oh, I'm sorry. Bye. Okay. Where are we here? Project Looking Glass. She did have that link. Is this in my guys? I am so this should be here. Oh, goodness gracious. Project Looking Glass. Preborn PDS. Oh guys. I know I'm gonna look at my history. That's what I'll do. History. There, I'll be able to find it that way. Okay. Disappeared. Let me see if I can go like this and find it, guys. Be inspired. Why can't I just remember that? It's be inspired. Share screen. There we go. That's too bad that the audio wasn't working. Or retro. Okay. Let me find where this video was. Testimony, blah, 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 blah. Which one was it? Anyway, I think that there are demons. There's evil, the devil. I'm a Christian. I believe in that. So this isn't it. This isn't the one. Let me go to videos. Okay, that's not the one. It was a longer one and there was just one short section about it. Anyway, I recommend going to that, guys, and taking a look at what he said. And there's like 3 sections of it. I watched the first 2 and not the last one, but is it this one? Correct reality. It's not physical. Oh no, here it is.
Material in scientists, but
where you can get classical information, and we think that the only world that exists is this world. But this world we have constructed with our bodies.
what you're about to hear might completely rewire how you see yourself, your body, your mind, even your place in the universe. Federico Faggin isn't just any scientist. He's the man who invented the microprocessor. See, in every computer, each switch, a bit, is
I'm failing today, you guys. I'm failing so hard. I'm so sorry. Oh, I apologize so much. Anyways, I wish I could find that video. More than he should. Let's see. That's not it either. I give up. I give up, y'all. I'm going to not even try on that one anymore. Sure. Let's just go. That's not the one either. Okay. What a newbie. What? Okay. Anyway. Let's see. Hope you said you might want to turn up your mic volume. It's pretty quiet. Yeah. Oh, are you talking to me? Hope? Is it still? I think there's just something wrong with the connection on the mic here. I'm going to turn it off here. Give me a minute, guys. I'm going to reboot my sound. Okay. How's that? I reset the sound. It's probably really loud now. It sounds like it's better. Does that sound like the way it's supposed to sound? Okay, good. Yeah, it got switched over somehow over into my other. Okay, good. Oh goodness. So the computer just wanted to do its own kind of thing today. It seems like that's the theme happening, and we lost somebody. Okay, so we are gonna. Candace should be on any time now. Oh, for crying out loud! So that was the thing the whole time. The art. Somebody did. It's Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes came in and he changed it. He hacked into my system. Oh, that makes me so bummed out. All that tugging. And then I talked louder and it's still, oh well. Gosh, that's so frustrating when you're trying to hear and want to hear and then you can't. Goodness gracious. Oh well. Nick and Trump, they came in and they turned it all down. Anyway, so I did find that video, you guys, and it's called "They Will Break Your Understanding." I'll show you. Well, she's about to go on, so I don't want to flip over just in case she starts here. But anyways, so it is Be Inspired is the YouTube channel, and it says "They will break your understanding of everything." And it's the first video in that. It's looks like it's an hour and 10 minutes, and so there's a segment on that's about 16 minutes long, and that's where they talk about the whole concept of good, evil, demons, the devil, hell. It was super, super interesting. I really appreciated it, and I'll be sharing that with some people that I know too, because it is a really good way to explain it. Let me make sure the volume's up here too. Oh, there we go. I feel like I feel bad for messing that up for everyone. I hate that. Anyway, so it's all sorted now. Hopefully she comes back. And hopefully I haven't seen Letters all week. Did we see him on Monday? I think it was on Monday we saw him. So hopefully everything's okay with that, with Letters. Let's turn this off and make her go green. There we go. I'm going to go have another little coughing spell, y'all. Okay. Okay, it'll be interesting what Candace says and how she perceived Nick's video. So I don't know do you guys know what Nick Fuentes' religion is? I don't know if he's religious at all or spiritual at all, or I think he's really more of a person who thinks of the logic side of it. She's live now. Yeah. Why isn't it going?
Of the film is not going
Thank you.
to go a long way in terms of dispelling conspiracies. Also, later on in the show, I want to discuss Nick Fuentes because, man, oh man, I was kind of fine with everything he's been doing. I've always maintained that he's not for me. His content's not for me. I also have maintained that he's clearly a federal informant, but who cares if people want to follow him? Well, now he's caught my attention because, frankly, he's trying to soft sell pedophilia. That's what he's doing. And I just don't know how to ask for us not to do this as a society. Can we not? Can we just not Why can we, as a society, not agree to just that one simple term? Welcome back to Candace.
Sorry, guys, I'm not always this out of it or messing everything up. If you're here for the first time, it's not always like this.
Okay, you guys, Fort Huachuca, the response, the public response, it was way too over the top. We don't really need to unpack everything that transpired, but suffice it to say, it was pretty clear they were panicking. They were bringing out Mitch's baby mama drama, sons, everything to say this never happened. And we're going, what's going on here? Why are you guys so freaked out about this base? Clearly something happened here. And we learned more that's an intel base. We learned more about how they were teaching courses to their agents on how to pretend that they're Christians and to be inserted within Christian organizations. That got weird. That's definitely weird, right? And then came obviously the PR blunder. When people say too much almost in trying to debunk something, when they pretend like they don't even understand English words. Fort? Fort? Can you put it in a sentence? What's a fort? Gosh, these people are so insane. Erica wasn't at some fort. Okay, Andrew Colbert, little too much. Like I said, he's got a lead foot. Vroom, too quickly. 0 to 100, too fast. If I was their PR agent, and to be clear, I do think Turning Point USA should put me on a monthly consulting retainer. I can help. If it was me, I'd have been like, oh, Fort Huachuca. Yeah, we all know Fort Huachuca. Yeah. Yeah, Erica lives nearby. Actually, I think maybe her mom worked there. I don't know. Let me call her.
I think pretty much all of us could help at this point. They're failing so hard. You guys should see their comments when they are live on X. The comment section is horrific.
And see, she might have been there. I have no idea. I'll see. I'll get back to you. I would have played it cool. No. Andrew's all like, here's a picture of her with her babies on the wrong date. She wasn't building a pillow fort. No. She was eating burgers. I like Chipotle. What, Andrew? What are you saying? Why do you seem nervous? That was, people with common sense. That's how I think we all felt. And I am going to tell you a lot. I can, like I said, assert she definitely has heard of Fort Huachuca. So I was interested when some people that were based at Fort Huachuca back in 2010, around 2010, maybe 2011, reached out to me to inform me that they knew Erica and that Erica definitely knows the base because a bunch of people from the base were affiliated and had worked with her from about 2010 until around 2013 on a mini film that never saw the light of day. As evidence of this, because I was thinking, am I being trolled here? And then no, I wasn't being trolled. As evidence of this, they actually provided me with movie posters, which were professionally shot, and the movie, which was entitled November Renaissance. Okay, sure. We obviously we know that she did some acting or reality TV. I don't know how we would phrase it. We know that she was pursuing the stage, obviously. She was involved in pageants. And we're checking out this movie poster before I tell you what it's all about, what the movie itself is about. Just by way of association, virtually everyone involved in this movie, the actors, the stunt doublemen, they are involved with Fort Huachuca, okay? Involved with the military at the very least. The person they said she was really close to was Clayton Haugen. I hope I'm saying that last name right. Haugn. Maybe it's just Hogan. And he does marketing for the defense contracting firm Dillon Aerospace. There's Don Fry. You might just think of him as a fighter, but he actually graduated from high school in Sierra Vista and then trained in judo at Fort Huachuca. There is Peyton McCormick. Her grandfather is Colonel Pete McCormick. Her father is Lieutenant Colonel Alan McCormick, once stationed at Fort Huachuca. Peyton was also, by the way, Miss Teen USA in 2006. Priscilla Annual. And again, we can pull up that poster, Skylar, so they can just see we're going through the names here as well. Her father was a lieutenant stationed at Fort Huachuca. There's also Chantel Thuy. I didn't have too much time to go through that person's background. I bet I could find a clear connection to Fort Huachuca since that's the theme, but we can tell you that her dad worked for in artificial intelligence for IBM. So I'm thinking maybe he had something to do with Fort Huachuca. And then that Price Mitchum, that just gets dark. I mean, that young
November
man
Renaissance.
or older man got put in a psych 5150 hold. And I mean, I don't know where that direction heads to. Long family of actors. I've got to prod that narrative a bit more. The point is that they told me there's absolutely no way that she's not familiar with Fort Huachuca. I don't know why that was said by Andrew Colbert. She most definitively was, just by
Crazy.
nature, like I said, of what her mom did. And also this poster proves it. Okay, that narrative is officially over. This whole, oh, this is crazy, what are we talking? Okay, that's just done. We can end that. Okay. Erica in this film was set to play a character named Evelyn Mathis. We know this because we found the remnant of a Kickstarter that was still available to the public. Now, I wish I had given.
I just pulled that up.
When it was first put up back in 2012, 2013, because I would then be able to open all of these posters and learn more about that particular character. But I can tell you
November. So it's novemberrenaissance.com. And you can watch the film. This is Kickstarter on Kickstarter.com.
definitively that this was a movie about corporate espionage, assassins, and technology, nanotech, all used to help the government and corporate financial institutions maintain power. I am not kidding. I'm going to read you the description here before showing you a video. It says, in the world of tomorrow, the mind has become a hard drive linked to the internet, and once the present divide between technology and humanity has become next to non-existent, driving this world forward are the many emerging multinational corporations that have grown in power far beyond the control of world governments. In this reality, financial institutions vie for dominance through corporate black ops. These clandestine endeavors are carried out by figures known as proxies, cloak and dagger assets that are hired in secret to remove rivals from power or to protect corporate capital from harm. Okay, and it tells us about the elites, the proxies, and I'm going to let you just actually take a listen to the director, Clayton himself, describe a bit about what this was intended to be about. I say intended because when you start reading the comments in the Kickstarter campaign, you realize they never delivered. They promised to deliver it in 2013. That didn't happen. Here is the director, Clayton Hogan, speaking about this movie.
Did people get their money back?
You guys just saw there was a visual pitch to really give you a feel for the atmosphere, but as far as concept goes, we really developed it around a number of questions that we were asking ourselves. Now, these questions range from anything from how can we manipulate someone's senses enough so that they believe a false reality when in reality something else is going on entirely? Or even how can someone like the class geek pirate and steal, say, the varsity quarterback's, knowledge and skill set? Or even more so, how can the knowledge and skill set of a Navy SEAL be copied and, transferred to somebody else? And this concept became possible when we really pushed the boundary on what's called nanotechnology. That's tiny little microscopic machines that carry out their function on an atomic level. Now, with nanotechnology, we were able to create this plausible and believable mind-bending and reality-bending concept that is grounded in developing physics theories out there and developing science. So really the question you should ask yourself is, what happens in a world where the brain is a hard drive, your eyes become video cameras, and knowledge is not learned so much it is just programs that are installed onto you?
Yeah, so that's not going to help matters any in the world of us conspiracy theorists who kind of think that that's what's happening. Wasn't I just saying a couple of weeks ago that I feel like there are people
is in the COVID shot, and it looks like there's metal particles, and actually that these particles are joining together. It's nanotechnology, basically.
that are walking around at the like computer programs, and it's pretty obvious that they're just stealing companies, stealing land, infiltrating, doing these sorts of things. These people are not even successful. They're just thieves. They're glorified thieves with access to the military. Again, to be clear, this project was never released despite posting updates up to 2017. But I want to show you that to just confirm that our suspicions were correct. And that is now beyond ridiculous to suggest in any manner or form that Mitch's testimony that he plausibly saw Erica at Fort Huachuca is deranged, crazy, or figment of a madman's imagination. Again, these people who gave this to us are friends with Erica. They know her. They say she knows about this space. So let's just shut that down. And there's a bit more I'd like to add here. A lot of you emailed and told us about a correspondence that had taken place online, a chat where a person shortly after Charlie's assassination, before there were any conspiracies in the air, said, "Oh, I saw Erica at Fort Huachuca." This was a woman, by the way, who wrote this. And then a bunch of people started yelling at her because she said that she had seen Erica the day before, which would have been September 9th, by the way, not the 8th. And she subsequently deleted the message. And there was no reason for her to have done that other than she thought, okay, maybe I was wrong. The whole internet is so mad at me for saying this. This person has absolutely nothing to do with Mitch Snow. So somebody else had published online that they could confirm that that was real. They were friends with that person. So to make that clear to you, so you understand the chain of custody of this information, the person who posted it is currently stationed at Fort Huachuca and deleted it. The internet caught that, or somebody on the internet caught that. And then a second person who was friends with that individual, who was formerly stationed as well at Fort Huachuca, said, yeah, that post actually happened. And there's more. I guess there are chats amongst our military personnel that are stationed there. And one of them asserted in this chat that they too had seen Erica at Fort Huachuca and that there was an order to lower drones on that day. So that brings us up to a total of 3 people. And the due diligence that I have done is that I have confirmed that third-party person who used to be stationed there, who knows the 2 individuals involved, okay, has a relationship with them today, is friends with them. So again, it's important to always say what the chain of custody is in case there is a mistake. But I did my due diligence to confirm that those people are real and that those people are in fact stationed at Fort Huachuca and that they made these statements not because they were being fed by the public one way or the other, but because they believed that they had seen her, okay? That puts a little more weight to the claim. Now, to be clear, I will say that once again, earlier this week, and I had to do homeschooling longer, so I have not been able to reply, but through one of the Turning Point executives, Erica did send a video that I had been asking for regarding the Fort Huachuca alibi, but it wasn't, I don't think they're comprehending what I'm asking for, so it wasn't what I was asking for, and I need to now follow up with them, which I intend to do tomorrow when we have a day off. I think it's perhaps, to be fair, because we're going through a third person, maybe it's not clear what I'm asking for, so I'm going to send a video example of what I'm asking for, and hopefully I will have an update there. But
She has a direct line to Erica, though. So I'm wondering why they're having to go through a third person. And Erica had, in their meeting, opened up the lines of communication for this very purpose, which I never believed, for the record.
It's getting interesting, is what I would say. It's getting very interesting. And the panic of Andrew Colvett, to me, it feels like there could be something there. Want to add something else here that you might find compelling. Now, I told you that there are certain themes that continue to rise throughout this investigation. We put together a chart to reflect that for you. But want to be very clear, by no means does it mean that any person on this chart is guilty, but it's just interesting that they are recurring themes. This is an organization that's supposed to be free markets and capitalism. We are finding this Liberty University strand, the Eastern Europe strand, the trafficking and sex abuse strand, meaning either allegations, George Zinn on that day, decoy boy, Turning Point Faith, working with this pastor, Greg Laurie, whose church is being accused of trafficking children from Romania. One of the pastors, Paul Havsgaard, they're saying that the church helped to facilitate that. Again, this is making its way through its courts. So this is all allegedly. We had Rob McCoy trying to rehabilitate a person who had abused children in the past. We talked about Tim Ballard, Operation Underground, how Phil Lyman went to see him the next day. Glenn Beck had funded that Operation Underground, which for Tim Ballard ended in scandal without question. And people alleging that that charity was not doing what he set out to do. So that's interesting. And then we talked about Paul Vallely, that retired Army general. By the way, I think on that episode I said he was on the board. I meant to say he's on the advisory board. There is a difference, an important difference. So I do want to correct that. We got this retired Army general who actually ran psychological operations and happened to co-write a book with this guy who was a avowed Satanist and started his own kind of Church of Satan called the Temple of Set. But he was also accused, credibly, according to the police, even though he was ultimately found not guilty due to not enough evidence. They didn't bring charges against him because they felt they didn't have enough evidence of harming a child. At the Army and Army Child Development Center, which already makes me uncomfortable that there is an Army Child Development Center. We'll talk about more of that when we get into the GATE program and some of the things that you guys told me, which was absolutely fascinating. Anyway, another thing that we've added here since is what I found to be interesting is that Erica lived in China and worked with child sex trafficking victims. Now, that is, if Erica is to be believed in her own words, she said that on a podcast in the past. I want you to listen to that podcast. Take a listen.
I decided to create something called Everyday Heroes Like You, where we're able to, originally, it was focused on bringing funds and awareness to various grassroots organizations that were in specific communities that would be able to have volunteers that are transparent with their funds, that are actually doing what they're saying they're doing, instead of just having 70% of the funds go to admin and only 30% towards the cause. It kind of grew into something more global. I was living in China and doing a lot of work with the victims from sex trafficking, and then began to phase that into working with the Marine Corps and the Army, and then was able to work with a orphanage in Romania to help sustain them during their winter season.
Child
and
trafficking.
Giving them more clothing items or tangible items rather than just money.
So you heard her very clearly there. It's not my imagination. She says, I was living in China and doing a lot of work with child sex trafficking victims. And that caught obviously my attention because somebody dug that up on the internet and I was working on this chart of like, okay, there's a lot here to unpack. And so I instantly reached out to somebody at Turning Point USA who has been a straight shooter. Actually, I think the only person that has been willing to answer questions to get to the bottom of things. Like I said, Justin Strife. And I said, when was she living in China? I don't have, like, when was that actually? And he replied that she never lived in China. And that she said, I'm sure he took that right to her, that she never lived in China. That she only went there on a trip for a couple of weeks to see the Great Wall of China. So I don't know what to believe, Erica now or Erica then, but that's Erica versus Erica. That's a discrepancy. The point is that the column of child sex trafficking and orphans is about to grow a little bit more. So many people were speculating as to, and Baron Coleman did a lot of work on this, talking about the planes, and they said it appears now that Charlie's plane, or it was Charlie's plane, and now appears to be Erica's plane, is frequently visiting New Braunfels, Texas, and also a place up in Idaho. A lot of plane action there, what's going on, some of it conspiracy, obviously people just investigating and trying to figure out if there's something there. And I can tell you the answer is that she's visiting the #1 donors to Turning Point USA. Or
I wonder where in Idaho. I was adopted and raised in Idaho from a young age. I'm interested. I wonder if it's Boise.
And shout out to the Mommy Sleuth who did the work. The way they figured that out, I'm telling you, these Mommy Sleuth hit different.
Incredible.
They just
Oh,
hit
yeah.
different. I mean, I was reading this. I was like, goodness, you were in the trenches here. that could be
Mommy,
obviously
daddy
they
sleuths.
loaned the plane after Charlie's assassination and said you can have the plane. Who knows? That part isn't too relevant because I guess at this level, friends don't let friends fly public. Okay, sure. What is actually interesting, though, which I wanted to bring to your attention, just give me just a second here. What's interesting is that, and by the way, I do want to add here that Erica is the chairman and CEO of Turning Point. So going to see your biggest donor wouldn't exactly be a scandal. But there is something else that's interesting. And to bring you up to speed, that those donors, it was widely reported at the beginning of this year, so we're not really breaking any stories here, that the Turning Point headquarters, I believe the one in Florida, the Florida campus, was going to be renamed the Buckman campus because of the large donation from the couple, largest ever in Turning Point's history, which came from Carl and his wife, Nelda Buckman, okay? Daily Wire actually had the exclusive story on this, and that's interesting to me. The $10 million gift and renaming the headquarters.
That
now,
is
Nelda gave an
interesting.
interview, like I said, exclusively to the Daily Wire in January about her now budding relationship with Erica, the new chairman and the CEO. She shared that after Charlie's assassination, the two of them got really close. And she revealed that the two of them had met privately in Florida ahead of America Fest and did a dedication ceremony where Nelda said that she had offered Erica personal support and spoke with her about the challenges of navigating her new reality as a single mother, leading the organization, plus carrying forward her late husband's legacy. That's directly from the article on Daily Wire Plus. She says, quote, Erica and I talked about womanhood and what our culture has been teaching our young women and what we want to teach our young women, end quote. Now, Nelda Buckman is immediately interesting to me for two reasons. The first is that when I was looking into this more, I discovered that she executively produced, which is kind of a fancy way of saying financed, the documentary, which not many people saw, which was called Identity Crisis. It was a film out of nowhere in 2024, announced on stage by Ben Shapiro of Daily Wire and Turning Point USA were teaming up to do this film on gender. Hearing her name involved with that project, I went, funny backstory to that, which I've already shared with you guys, that part of the way that Ben gets back at people is by buying things and trying to buy people. And he was really upset that I had called him out on stage and that Charlie had my back when I got fired. And he posted that he had my back on the day that I got fired and, made a statement. Charlie, we've just been friends for years. Obviously, that's not really that surprising. And so what happened thereafter was that, and I told you this because I was told this by Charlie, that Ben started putting pressure on Charlie's donors and trying to get him not to let me speak at AmFest. This was told to me by Charlie. And I was like, dude, don't even let them stress you out, because now they were kind of squeezing him. Like, she can't speak. She's an anti-Semite, whatever. And I'm like, look, I'm banned from Australia. I don't even care about that, man. You don't let this bleed onto you, what I'm going through. I'll get through this. I'll be fine. I didn't know who exactly the donor was. I knew that they were feeding information also to Barry Weiss. And I then got a phone call from Andrew Colbert at that time saying to me, hey, letting you know that we're going to allow Ben to effectively buy a place at AmFest. I know he doesn't normally speak here, and we want to make sure you're okay with that, obviously, because it's so much money. And it's an offensive amount of money, effectively. And he's buying a spot, and now he's going to, get involved and buy up this documentary that we're doing. And I was first and foremost, I was like, this is so unbelievably petty. It's so perfectly Ben. And also, I don't care. Take his money. Like, I want you guys to be successful. Like, I am not insecure in me and Charlie's friendship at all. If he's going to have his friends go after, trying to make it look like me and Charlie aren't friends. So it was interesting to me to learn that Nelda Buckman, and I'm not saying that she necessarily was the person who put the pressure on it, but it's interesting to connect that dot, because it was particularly about this documentary that Andrew Colbert called me about. And he said, Charlie has to do this interview now with Ben, and that's what's happening. No big deal. What we can be certain of, again, that's just speculation, but what we can be certain of regarding Nelda Buckman is that she is an executive producer. She's also an artist. She's also a philanthropist. And like Erica, which is the compelling part here, she has done extensive work with foster children and in particular sex trafficking victims. Okay, Nelda works with National Angels. So it's like there's all these different
Romanian
regions,
angels.
Austin Angels, New Jersey Angels. She works with all
National
of them to help
Angels.
foster children. Okay, I don't really have a gripe about that. I think I have shared, my mother spent time in a group home. There is a need. I am particularly open to the fact that there is a need and that the system is not great. But, and this part I would say, concerned about. It doesn't mean I'm concerned about Nelda, but this project in general existing gives me pause and gives me concern because Nelda is one of the largest donors. She might even be the largest donor to Courage House Nevada. Okay. I don't like anything that happens in Nevada. Blackmail rings. There's a lot of stuff that happens. Las Vegas, obviously. And this nonprofit, which advertises itself as providing safe homes for child sex trafficking survivors, and per its website in April 2025, it purchased a 40-acre property in Washoe County, Nevada. Okay. It planned to house 6 resident children. That's a lot of space for 6 children. All of these children are female. And it should be noted that this is a psychiatric residential treatment facility. Different powers for the state if they say you're a nutcase. Okay. They can just do things and keep you. And that's immediately upon its opening that November. This is the goal, a 40-acre property, as you see.
Interesting.
And we're going to house 6 girls. And it has a capacity for 18 as cottages are being built. That's their long-term goal, is to provide care to 12 more children, total capacity 18 across these 3 cottages. Again, 40 acres for 18 children feels like a lot to me. But I want to stress here, the goal is not to just temporarily house these sex trafficking victims. The first thing that stood out to me as unusual, and I'm grateful that this mommy sleuth went down and dug this up, is that the Courage House is reportedly located in a confidential, secure location, meaning that we have no way to tell where these girls are going to be kept. Now, to justify this, the founder of Courage Worldwide says, oh, well, told local news, there are people out in the world that want to hurt these girls. That's why we have to find a rural place and, quote, where it's hard for them to leave or for someone to find them. And so the mommy sleuth that emailed me was like, what do they mean it's hard for them to leave? So you got these children that are sex trafficking victims that are being brought to this 40-acre campus to live in these cottages, and it's hard for them to leave. That's mommy sleuth is right. It's creepy.
What?
Yeah. It's very creepy to state it that way. And it's about exactly, by the way, who's hunting down these sex trafficking victims. It's also unusual that they're implying throughout the website that these girls can be as young as 4 to 6 years old. And they say that they will have the careers that they dream of. They're going to offer them tuition support. So they're then going to pay for them to go to college. They are going to house them long term. And they specifically outline how excited they are that Nevada has changed its laws, which means that they don't have to leave on their 18th birthday, that those girls can now stay until they're 21.
I was going to say into adulthood, and they'll find husbands, I'm sure.
I just don't like it. I don't like any of this. And again, I am
That's
not
wild.
at all implying that the Buckmans have a hand in that. It's more just learning about these stories and covering these stories, even my own ignorance. Like I used to give annually, just so you guys know, to Operation Underground, which was run by Tim Ballard. And then they had a bit of a scandal. And I think that all of us, since we're such normal people, we assume that when these charities are dedicating themselves to sex trafficking victims, that they are actually trying to help sex trafficking victims. But the scandals of a lot of these charities, the way that they're being sued, doesn't sound like that at all. Okay. It sounds like some of these charities, and again, I'm not saying that the Nevada House is one of these, are involved in the trafficking. And to what aim? Nevada doesn't seem like the right place for that at all. A lot of creeps go to Nevada, right? That's where Las Vegas is.
Right.
That's where people are actively trying to hook up with children, right? That's where they go for their vices. And now we're just gonna have a 40-acre farm.
The morally and financially bankrupt. Oh, it kind of sounds like DC.
And we're not allowed to know where it is. We're not allowed to know who's in there. And we're being
Although when you go into DC and you're bankrupt, you come out a billionaire.
told it's for their protection. I don't feel great about that. I don't feel great about that at all, actually. I think we need to revisit the topic of these child sex trafficking charities. Full stop. Full stop. Okay. Because I'm getting a sense, and I'm going to tell you, this is my sense. I'm getting a sense, and we know how Jeffrey Epstein also gave to schools, right? Donated to schools, donated a lot of money, actually. And we should go revisit just what sort of charities he donated to. I would be certain that some of them were sex trafficking charities. I'm getting a sense that some of them are involved implicitly in trafficking victims and then traumatizing these people as their children, and then almost having these children develop, which was determined, the precursor to MK Ultra, which actually took place with Nazi scientists that were then brought over here with Operation Paperclip, that they know that when you abuse a child, and then if you raise a child, and Sigmund Freud illustrates this in the book that we're currently reading in book club, that you can create a psychopath. You can also create someone that has dissociative disorder. It's like almost like they're not people. I feel like these people are going through programs. They're turning these people onto society. They're like robots walking among us. I say that and they mock that. Don't mock it. I think these are the White Walkers. This is the sense of dread that I have, that there has been some sort of an effort and some sort of a program that's happening wherein children are being harmed, and then they're being offered all sorts of things. And like, now you're in the club, I mean, this is, by the way, stuff that happens in gangs as well. It's like how you pledge a gang. I mean, when you get to the bottom of what's guiding the idea of even hazing in fraternities, it's like you're going to suffer and then you're one of us. Okay. That's what's informing it. It's like a kind of trauma that's then going to commit you further to their cause. And I think that's happening. I think there are, to use obviously an analogy here, White Walkers
Trauma
among
bond.
us. I really do believe that. And these people, there's something about them where I just look at them and I think something happened to you when you were a child. I felt this way spiritually when I looked at Astrid Tumenez, who, by the way, has just stepped down from Utah Valley University. It was just announced. The president of Utah Valley University, who was not there on that day, despite the fact that it was the first week of school. She was not there on the day of Charlie's assassination. It looks like she was involved in some color revolution stuff for the CIA. She was a fostered child, was rescued from the Philippines. I can't explain it. I looked at Astrid Tumenez just doing an interview, and I was just like, childhood trauma, question mark?
Interesting.
I don't know. But I'm putting it out there.
Oh, they're gonna.
And we'll find out if I'm right by how much they freak out and pay people to make videos going, oh, it's so crazy that Candace is suggesting that the military is converting a bunch of people into like a sleeper cell army of abused kids that are now adults and will just do whatever they say. When they start paying for that campaign, that propaganda campaign, we can then go ahead and take what I say to the bank. We'll be right back after a quick break. All right, you guys, we have seen skyrocketing inflation, surging national debt, market volatility, never-ending wars, bank failures, and
Gold. I know they're pushing gold, guys, but they don't have the gold. Anyways, do you guys know who she's talking about? Astrid Tumenez. Wonder if I can save this real quick. I don't know. So that's crazy. And I was telling you guys at the beginning of this, I think Erica's in this deep, has been in this, and I think she's an alpha. I really do. I think that hug that she was giving Donald Trump at the memorial, if that's what you can call it, the RNC event for Charlie Kirk, I think that was her asserting her control over him and what she has. We'll see. I don't. So the video, she's going through this third person to get this video and the whole proof that Erica was not at Fort Huachuca, and I don't know why it's that hard. And she has a direct line to Erica, so I don't know why that conversation isn't happening with them, or she even had lines to Erica's attorney in charge of this whole prosecution of Tyler Robinson. Guys, Erica's in this. I don't think, allegedly, my opinion, Erica's in this, and she's a main player. And I wonder when or what Charlie knew. So there's a lot of stuff going online saying that he knew and they were getting a divorce and he like found all this stuff out. But Erica's not innocent. I don't believe she is.
Fuentes, staying on this theme, it sort of feels like over time they've been softening things and making it sound different. This is, by the way, for people who initially, and I know people have changed their minds as things grew more radical, but I think people who initially were supporting the transgender movement were not doing so out of evil. They just, it's, you know, this kid's going through some stuff, or I want to be a supportive parent. I think they were very ill-guided. It was obvious to me that as soon as you start saying that children have the authority when they're 4 to decide about their bodies, we know what comes next. We just know what comes next. It's obvious. And it's never, they're always trying to throw these things out to exist between like a left-right paradigm, but it's just the sickos at the top trying to accomplish their aims and also slowly introducing this in culture. We spoke about that, how they're now kind of soft selling us incest and pedophilia at all times.
It's not even soft
Of
sell.
course, if you've read Hollywood Babylon in our book club, then you know that this is the founding story.
There's some Nikki Glazer. I thought she was really funny until there was a monologue that she had done probably 6 months ago or so. It's not a soft sell anymore. The incest, it's not, unfortunately.
Of Hollywood. That is Hollywood's founding story. They were after this Babylonian culture. They largely imported a bunch of Viennese directors who had been engaging in pedophilia over in Vienna, and that it was rampant. It was just rampant. Anyway, Nick Fuentes is one of these people who is trying to soften it. So for clarity, before we listen to this clip, Jeffrey Epstein had been accused of trafficking children, 8 years old, 11 years old. He, for his own birthday, as a birthday present to himself, found some 12-year-old triplets who were dirt poor, and his friend, Jean-Luc Brunel in Paris, flew these 12-year-old triplets to Jeffrey Epstein, okay? No one's arguing about Jeffrey Epstein's perverted interest, a sexual interest. Someone's arguing that. However, Nick Fuentes is going to explain why actually that's not pedophilia. Take a listen.
This whole pedo thing, it's like, is it really pedophilia? I don't want to be the one that has to say it, but I guess I'm being forced to say it. Pedophilia, okay? They weren't trafficking 5-year-olds. It was like they were technically not legal. Big difference, in my opinion.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so did I miss that when I played that for you guys earlier? I was trying to mess with sound and stuff, I think. Did I miss that? Because no, that's not right.
And I know that's a controversial take.
No,
but that's not really the issue there.
No, it is though.
Okay. The issue is not that they were barely legal teens, which is what it is. It's horrendous. It's awful. It's pedophilia. Okay, relax.
Wait, what?
No, the issue is that Epstein is a Jewish spy, probably working with Israel. That's the dilemma there. He's working with Israeli intelligence.
Honestly, this is a time where it is appropriate to say this.
Hold up. So I want to say too, Megyn Kelly had said something similar. When years ago she had understood pedophilia to be pedophilia, but then now as it pertains to Epstein and this, okay. So now she's saying something similar to what Fuentes is saying, and no, we're not in France, and France isn't right for doing that either. The whole age difference thing, but okay, so let's hear let's hear this.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Agree. I watched that. Just stop right there. Why are we always here in society for no reason? How easy is it not to do that? Okay, not to try to use some technicality, which, by the way, who do you think is in control of these definitions, by the way? I mean, they are changing the definition of what it means to be a girl and a boy right now. So if you can find, well, look at this definition. Technically, if the person is 11, if the person's not under 5, who cares if they're prepubescent? The point is not pedophilia. We're just, we've expanded the definition. We're constantly expanding and changing definitions to confuse people against common sense, okay? If you are sexually interested in prepubescent children, you're a pedophile. How about that? Is that easy? Thumbs up? Cool? We good? And what is just so remarkable to me, and like I said, I've been fine with him doing his thing. Obviously, he's a federal informant. It's ridiculous for people that don't understand
He
that.
is. He totally is. We were talking about it yesterday, you guys. He is. And a few weeks ago, a month ago, I was saying the same thing. Okay, so should pedophilia be defined as, is that the limit, like prepubescent, or like puberty? What age? Obviously prepubescent is, but even at teenage, it still is. It still is.
People just keep following him despite the overwhelming evidence. I mean, this guy took a meeting with Dan Wilkes' partner after years of screaming about Ben Shapiro and talking about Israel. And all. He took a meeting with Defend Texas Liberty and Ferris Wilkes' partner, and pitched, they actually, one reporter got documents, was pitching to sell the data of his followers. And people were like, that's fine. He led people into a Capitol with a bullhorn and said, ignore police, storm the barriers, as if he had fed instructions. And we know for a fact he was informed the night before by Milo Yiannopoulos that the feds were going to beat, that there was some Fed trap happening. And despite that, he went with a bullhorn. He didn't just attend, he had a bullhorn, and he's telling people to storm, and he doesn't get arrested. And his lawyer wants to go off record when he's asked directly about whether or not he is a federal informant. It's been so in your face and obvious. The ridiculous, oh, I just got $250,000 in Bitcoin from France from a guy who's killed himself and published a letter 24 hours after he was dead, because he set it on a timer, and it's in perfect English. And anybody who's ever been to France, French people don't speak perfect English. They are not writing a letter in English, even if they speak perfect English. It's just been so absurd that it offends my senses. It offends my sensibility that people have been following him. This is a Glee Club kid, okay? He's dramatic. I like Nick Fuentes clips.
Glee Club.
I like watching Real Housewives clips. And this is, by the way, the problem, as I've said, that heterosexual men cannot continue to follow theater boys. This is actually an illness in our society, is that people who are playing the part of men and are actually at their core theater boys and want to go to Congress and want to have platforms and would never fight wars, they are, for whatever reason, being listened to by actual men. This was just unbelievable to me that the statement was made, and you couldn't see that it was going to end here. Of course, this is what happens. This is what happens when you elect or you decide that you're going to follow people who don't like women. That's the reality. They don't like women, so family offends them. And despite making that statement, he then tries to do a 180 and pretend he didn't just say what we heard him say. Here's what he said in a follow-up, where he's going to yell at you for hearing what he just said, which is that it's not pedophilia. Take a listen.
This is not just about somebody was trafficking girls somewhere. That's not the story. The story is someone was trafficking girls to acquire blackmail to sell to Israel. That is the point. And that is what I said last night. I said, for someone to make it all about pedophilia, I said, it's kind of just like, it's not really true, because again, it does get away from what's happening there. It is not satanic pedophilia cult stuff. It is really run-of-the-mill prostitution and sex trafficking, but for a international political purpose. And it's important not to lose sight of that. I saw Marjorie Greene say this is about female victims. It's actually not about female victims. It's about the integrity of our government. You understand the difference?
No.
It's not to say we're not sympathetic.
Victims.
It's not to say that it's not criminal. It's not to say that it's good. I'm not defending it. I'm saying this is not Dateline. This is not a human interest story. This is a layered crime. It's one crime in the furtherance of a much more politically significant crime. But all these dumb, I mean, they literally just don't have the IQ to understand that. For them, it's just about screeching about the same nonsense every day. They don't understand what they're talking about. They have no idea about anything.
We're dumb loons.
They hear something they don't like. They say, oh, he's with Israel now. He got paid.
You did.
I'm sorry. I've been doing this way longer than you. When did you come on the scene? When did you get red pilled? Last year? 10 minutes ago? When did you start talking about this stuff? Oh, now you're the expert and the gatekeeper. I'm done with that. I'm out. Seriously. You don't have to unfollow me because I'm out.
Bye.
This whole movement of Gen X idiots that are obsessed with satanic pedophile elite and psycho conspiracy kookery that doesn't even make sense, this Candace Owens bullshit, I'm out of all that. Seriously. I'm done with it.
Okay,
Yeah,
bye
this is the
then.
who sat across from me and said that people that are sub-Saharan.
It always comes down to the de-slinging. He's always got to be, we're stupid. He's got a high IQ. I don't even know if that's true or not, but it always comes down to who's got a bigger one, Nick. And all the ones that always have to prove and show or peacock whose is bigger, you know, there's only one type of boy who does that.
And just don't have a high IQ. Let me tell you what he strikes me as. Nick strikes me as someone who was really bright in high school. Then he got a little bit of fame and he stopped reading books. That's it. This is what happens. People go, I made it. I don't have to learn anymore. I can just shut off my brain and just keep repeating the same talking points. Because if you do not understand that this is a cult, that the theology matters much more than the politics, okay? This like left-right dialectic, it means nothing until you understand the theology that is guiding these elites worldwide. And it is, in fact, occultic. It is, in fact, satanic. And these are, in fact, ritualistic. It's all over. You need but read articles that are in your face or conduct even a minor incursion into the history of psychology, which was brought upon our shores, a minor incursion even to the establishment of Hollywood. It's right there in your face. And by the way, it is actually low IQ anti-Semitism, like you call it, to just go, oh, well, that's just all Jews. That's why I don't like Dave Smith. I don't even like Dave Smith, even though he's completely on our side on everything. It's him. That's actually what low IQ anti-Semitism is. Because to be clear, this occultic ritualistic stuff, these people are gypsies. They exist in every faith. Let's be clear, Aleister Crowley was a student of this. Did Aleister Crowley exist? Did Jack Parsons exist? Who established the Apollo program at NASA? Was he similarly conducting occult sexual rituals to establish a moon child? Did we then suddenly go to the moon after the Apollo program was established? So actually, Nick, it's you that is demonstrating that you have a low IQ, or rather that you are trying to tell your audience to stop learning. You're trying to convince them, and by the way,
that it's bigger than it is, Nick. We know it's not bigger.
You're trying to convince them that Satan is a conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
Keep focused on the minutia. The left versus right, right? It's Israel versus America. It's not bigger than that. There's no global conspiracy happening. We weren't told that Satan's going to inherit the earth. This is why he also strikes me as someone who does not attend mass regularly. First, because of the way he speaks. There is such a thing as having a Catholic conscience. It's difficult to speak in the manner that he does all the time. If you were attending mass, which he should do, I think it would make him a better person. But far be it from me to give Nick Fuentes any suggestions, because the last time when I just asked him who he was dating, or like, hey, you're going to get married one day, he lost his mind. He started acting like a raging homosexual, calling me all sorts of things, of course, when he was in the comfort of his own home, and very much embodying the stereotype of women that you see on reality TV. This is actually was his reply to me for asking him about whether he wanted to get married one day.
Sit down and shut the up, bitch. That's what a man has to say.
Just a general.
Oh,
rule.
he's all
If
mad,
you have to
isn't
say
he?
I'm a man, which he then follows up by saying I'm a real man, you probably
A
aren't.
real big man is what he meant.
Hey, Brigitte, if you got a suit to prove you're a woman, you're probably not one. Real men, their natural inclination is to protect women and children. That's a fact.
I think him and Ben Shapiro might make a really cute couple.
A woman's natural inclination is to respect men when they are exhibiting the attributes of true masculinity, protecting women and children, not getting up on a platform and trying to soft sell the definition of pedophilia by saying, well, it wasn't 5-year-olds, and so it's okay. And by the way, to that clip of him yelling, all I can ever see is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Take a look at this.
Sit down and shut the up, bitch. That's what a man has to say.
A real man. That's how I
Real
talked to my
big
sisters
man.
when I took my shirt when I was in high school and just yell straight to the point. Anyway, it's a call for actual real men to stand up and become leaders and to help us fight what we are fighting, which is a spiritual war. Yes, it does matter. And perhaps the wrong person to deliver this line from which movie, I forgot which movie this is, but it is true. Unusual Suspects, the usual suspects, Skylar has corrected me, but this quotation is definitively true. Take a listen.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Actually, maybe he was the exact right person to deliver that line. Let's take a brief break and then discuss some of your comments from yesterday's episode about the GATE program, which were fascinating.
Ooh.
All right, you guys, do you
Interesting.
maybe owe back taxes, or maybe you haven't filed taxes in years?
So y'all, did I miss that with him, Nick, when I had played that clip? I was okay. So if you're just joining, or if you're coming onto the stream after we've ended, the sound in the beginning is a mess because my system got all messed up and jumbled things up, and I didn't figure it out until later. I apologize for that. I'm not usually as big a mess as I feel like I am today. So anyway, if I missed that, that's crazy because that's that was super important. And this is unfortunately the conversation, instead of pedophilia or the topic being the victims, it's okay, what age group. So I'm just saying, if you can't make an adult decision for yourself and you're not legally able to do that, and even if in France you are, it's just there's a certain age, and especially when there's somebody in authority over you and in power over you, that anyone under the age of 18, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. No, unless you can make that decision for yourself legally, and your parents have nothing to say about anything legally, it's you're a pedophile. That's just how I see it. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. I have a lot to share with you. I have a lot to say, as you can imagine.
And there's no obligation to see how much you could be saving. And they're closing some in as fast as 10 days and even delaying 2 mortgage payments. So call 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210, or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens, AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. That's my trigger, man. That's my one trigger, kids, whether it's kids being blown up in Palestine, kids being trafficked. It's just leave the kids alone. And for whatever reason, we just can't agree on that as a society. We cannot agree on that. Anyway, if you'd like to support our show, we have new merch on the website. It's amazing. It's actually my favorite merch drop. You can also buy the autographed bundle, the hard copy autographed bundle, both of my books, Make Him a Sandwich and Blackouts, hand signed by me. I do not use a stamp, so you will have an actual original signature from me twice if you buy that bundle. And come on, Conspiracy Girly mugs they are serving. There's actually another one somewhere. I'll have that for next week.
Conspiracy girly.
Want to get to comments from yesterday's episode. Also, have you? It's just this talk about the usual suspects making views. Candace has really lost it this time. She's suggesting gate kids. How dare she talk about Project Looking Glass, which was real. If I've lost it, then the CIA lost it, bro. And they lost it a long time ago. And you guys are working for them. It's pretty clear. Of course, the CIA is hiding technology. How foolish would you have to be to think that they would allow us to learn technology with them? That's not how people who are hungry for power operate. And unfortunately, enough of us have common sense that we are not falling for these ridiculous PR campaigns. Anyway, regarding the GATE program and any other child development program that's in schools for extraordinary students or gifted and talented students, there was this comment yesterday's episode. I have to read this. This was from Nika. Nika wrote, "Hey, Shannon, a tag gate kid here, total memory blackout from ages 4 to 10, the exact years," because that was responding to a comment of somebody else who had a memory blackout being a part of this program. The exact years that I was at Fort Hood on base. Later 80s, early 90s, military brat. Dad was a doctor doing residency adjacent to a biolab at the Army hospital. I wouldn't follow protocol as a kid after the program had skipped me a grade, etc. And so after the Army, I got shuffled through 4 different schools that I later discovered are all connected to the DoD through the Aspen Education Group. I think they changed the name. I have docs, but yeah. And shell companies. I've gone through hell and back with loads of FOIAs to my name, just trying to figure out what happened to me at Turnabout Ranch in Escalante, Utah. New Horizons Academy, now closed.
Oh, we have a name. I'm
in
glad.
Marion, Indiana. It's sister school, child labor work camp in the middle of nowhere called Missinaibi Woods Academy in Canada. They have another school in the DR, but I didn't go there. Also, Darlington in Rome, Georgia, and of course, Texas. The struggle is real. Keep up the good fight, Candace. Thanks for making it safe to talk about this publicly. I legit have gone through hell and back, and I know of a neighborhood because of all of this. The weird phenomena is real. Lights break above my head when I flipped a switch. Cabinets slam when I get mad enough. And I can, I don't know, I guess, connect with what I can only describe as stars that respond to my request, like please move or light up, etc. I know this sounds insane. I don't care though. It's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And I'm grateful I don't fit in, not cut from the same cloth, but whatever happened to us as kids, we deserve answers. While I personally don't care about retribution, just answers. You're giving us permission to speak our truth. Thank you. And there were so many comments.
Wow.
Of people reflecting this, that yes, when I run, I was in the GATE program, lights go out. I told you that was something that Charlie said. And it's so weird. They're like mocking Charlie by mocking me. He said it. He said he thought he was a time traveler. He went to a special school. And yeah, it's very interesting that these programs existed. I honestly think I was spared. So interesting to hear you say if they wanted to transfer you to a special academy, because the same thing happened to me. I took the test. It was 3rd grade, I remember, and all the kids got their state test exams back and mine was late. And I was sitting in Miss Balistreri's class. And then they brought my mom in and they were like, you know, Candace got a very high score on this, and we'd like to put her in what was called the Extraordinary Learners Program. And after being in a couple of these classes, they then said to my mom that we would like to pay for her to go all expenses to this academy, King Low Haywood private school. And my mom was like, well, you should go to this. This is an amazing opportunity. And then I started bursting out in tears, crying, being like, Mom, please don't make me go. We had just changed schools, elementary schools. And I was like, I just made new friends again. I do not want to make new friends. Essentially, I promise I will be an idiot. Just do not make me change schools. And I wonder, first off, I did. I then purposely was trying not to do the best. I still, was in AP honors classes, but I was kind of very reticent about school. And I do remember I still had to do the ELP program, but I remember us going on buses to separate schools. It's really interesting to think about what is the actual aim of these programs, probably to identify kids and make sure that if they are in any measure brilliant, and I'm not saying that I'm brilliant, I just happen to be in one of these programs, they probably want you to work for the government. They probably want to make sure that they can track you. And that is a totally sensible conclusion, especially if you read through the comments. Guys, you must. I feel like I could do a whole series on these programs now. I want to just investigate these programs. I think
Ooh.
there are some, by the
I'm
way,
gonna
podcasts that are
investigate
doing that.
the comments.
Yeah, it was amazing to read your comments. People that talked about which DOD people came to meet with them, that they had to sit down with Army people, had to sit down with military
Wow.
people. It is all there. It is happening in the comment section. We need Brett Cooper back. That's what I'm saying. We need Brett Cooper to go deep in this comment section. You know, I'd pay for that. Anyway, I will read some more comments from today's episode. Rachel writes, Satan knows that his time is short. The same future that they kept seeing, from yesterday's episode, is that God wins. He always wins. That's how I feel. That is how I feel about Project Looking Glass. Like, how do we change this? How do we change this? And so they are now probably just putting a bunch of white walkers all across society. You know what I mean when I say white walkers, just abused children that they've kind of turned into automated programs and will do whatever they say. That's what I feel is happening. I'm also struck, I know I'm kind of ranting at you guys now, but I'm also struck by this push toward Greenland. And I'll tell you why, because I was like, why are we suddenly talking about Greenland so much? Like, I'm not saying that we don't have a history of discussing Greenland as an asset, but it feels like they're kind of ratcheting that up. And they're like, no, we need Greenland tomorrow. I'm like, what's going on? I had no idea
Accelerated.
that we had this military base, underground military base that was established there, particularly to launch missiles during the Cold War. So America is quite literally invested there. But the missile thing was a trigger for me because I showed you that as a part of Charlie's predictions, not only was he going to die, but he felt that there was some devastation coming pertaining to a war involving missiles. I can't remember the exact text message, but that's interesting to me. That is very... all of it I find to be compelling. And that's why I talk about it on my show, because it's my show and it's what I'm interested in. And I'm sorry that I don't suffer from whatever it is that makes people think that the cool kids are the ones that listen to the government. I think you are the lamest people ever. The people that take money to repeat government talking points, like, you are just so lame. You're so uncool, like, and trying to make it cool. Like Gretchen trying to make fetch. It's not working. We don't care. We're going to talk about this stuff. We're going to talk about the GATE program.
I'm not sure who thinks Nick Fuentes or Ben Shapiro is cool anymore. I think the cool kids are losing. I think it's our time, guys.
We're going to talk about telepathy. We're going to talk about kids running with streetlights that are going off. And yeah, it's opening up a lot. And I think that it has the government quite nervous. And in the end, we are going to speak about the fact that Christ will win. In fact, in many ways, he has already won. Okay, read a couple of more comments from today's episode. Jesus is King, appropriate.
Guys, we're going to be talking about this tomorrow live on the show. Candace isn't live unless she decides to go live last minute, but we're going live at 4 tomorrow. We're going to talk about this stuff and more, whatever your experiences are. You're welcome to email me, send me a message. Either through email, I'm on Instagram if you want to DM me there. You can send a voice note, whatever. I'd be super interested to hear about this so we could talk about it, perhaps if you felt comfortable being on camera, or, you know, if you were even if we could have your voice and not your face, you wanted to be have some anonymity there. That I'm open to that. Please do let me know, because this is a big deal, and I'm glad that Candace is bringing it out in the open for all of us to talk about and bringing it more mainstream. It's been a passion of mine for a long time. And so anyways, there's lots of stuff to talk about and go over tomorrow for Central Time live here on YouTube. And I hope I'm feeling better and I won't be as what I felt out of it today. Sorry about that, guys. And thank you for hanging in there with me.
From Luke, praying constantly, sending my angel to help you and Tucker. Nick, I like him, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. Been making YouTube videos for 10 years, but now with the spiritual battle, I need to help. I would love to have you on my pod in the future. Thank you. Yeah, he's just not equipped for this at all, actually. And he should take some time off and learn, actually. Maybe he can learn from a sub-Saharan African. That might help him. Jess writes, Christ is King, go Max. Matthew Alvarado writes, I can see the Groypers losing their minds over this. You guys have no idea how much he keeps saying that he's done talking about you, but clearly has not stopped since. He knows deep down that you are right.
He can't stop.
He's got potential. He could read some books and he could be helpful, but men should not follow him. He doesn't have anything in his life you should follow what you want to mirror, what you want to become, what you think is good and whole. A person ranting angry about, women and now soft selling pedophilia. I hope that's not your aim. He's smart at political topics and political takes. That one was really dumb. And what he should have done is had exercised some humility and said, I completely misspoke and that was stupid. And I'm sorry. That was just dumb. That's all it takes. But he can't because he's got people telling him that all you have to do is double down on stupid. Again, he actually suffers from the need to be cool. Like
He
if
does.
I'm Dan
He really
Wilkes, I would
does.
just buy a bot army, and I would just have them say this, and I know that he'd say it because he responds to internet peer pressure, which is lame. Sis Bear writes, your last video made me think of the whistleblower Sabrina Wallace. She was a child who claims DARPA tested biosonar on her and other children in the 80s and 90s. They looked like gorgeous, special kids that stood out. That is fascinating. And like I said, there should be an entire series on this. I do think that Charlie was DARPA tested. I think he was, obviously we can prove it, he was tracked by the military. I mean, Turning Point was established in part by Bill Montgomery, who was Air Force, involved with the Air Force. I think we read that yesterday, was on the reserve. So we're on the right track. We're always on the right track, but they're always saying we're not on the right track, which makes us know that we need to continue onto these tracks and more will be revealed. If you have any more information, particularly regarding Fort Huachuca, again, I will pursue that alibi in earnest. I'm going to send them a video so they know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's just translations getting lost over text message. Hopefully I'll have an update for you guys by Monday. But if you have more information about Fort Huachuca, more tips at CandaceOwens.com. Otherwise, we have an interview dropping tomorrow between me and Myron Gaines. People really loved that interview. It was actually, he interviewed me, and we sort of spoke about the state of feminism and my book, Make Him a Sandwich, and why I wanted to do it. And some of our advertisers were like, this was a fantastic conversation. Please also put that onto your platform because I think people need to hear it. And I said, okay, great. We will do it. Done. So tomorrow you guys will have that. And then we will see you for a live episode on Monday.
Cool. Bye, Candace. Okay. Okay, so I did find the video that I was telling you about on YouTube on Be Inspired. If you all want to stick around for that, that's cool. Anyway, so let's look at your comments here. Okay. So, knowing that Charlie went to her and was telling her, I went to this school, and that she didn't go to it, and that something inside her cried and it's like, don't send me away to this school, X-Men school. The fact of that, I don't think it's a mistake. I don't think it was a coincidence. The things that he was saying to her were always to give her information and seemingly asking her for help, and even her dream. Okay, and I'll have more to say about that tomorrow too. We've talked about the dreams. If you guys haven't seen the video on the 22nd, the live stream that we did on December 22nd, go back and look at that because I talk about it there, but we'll talk about it again tomorrow. Fort Huachuca probably has severe security now. I'm sure they do. And I think the military, the Child Protective Services system, and all of that plays into this. As I said to you, it is my opinion that Erica's right in the middle. Hey, and Erica knows how to operate technology. Why is she acting stupid? And why is this third party that Candace is going through to get the metadata and all of that about Erica's whereabouts? Why are they acting stupid? Why is everybody acting stupid and they want us to buy this? And for sure, Fuentes is a Fed. He didn't go through that big investigation for 5 years to come out of it squeaky clean after 5 years. I think he had to prove himself. I think he had to prove himself as an asset for those 5 years. And then after he proved himself as an asset, they're like, okay, we'll let you off. We won't, you're not going to jail. but you're going to work for us for the rest of your life, little man. And him and Ben Shapiro should get married. Okay. Anyways, Jeff says, yes, much more innocent world back in the generation. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it was innocent or if we were innocent because we didn't know all the stuff, but I was, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure it was ever a safe place for us. I think now we're just now seeing the truth of it all. So let's see. So I'm going to share my screen. This will break you. Share screen. This will break your understanding. Okay. At this stage. Let's go. Let's go. So this is crazy. And I'll do it on, let's do speed up just for the sake of not taking a ton of time, but it is like, let's try this. 1.25.
This video features 3 of the most brilliant minds alive: Federico Fagin, Bernardo Kastrup, Chris Langan. Each of them has decoded reality in a completely different way. But
So Chris Langan is the one that we're going to listen to. I listened to Federico and Chris, I believe. Bernardo is the last one in the chunk. They have 3 segments. I wasn't into that one, so I cut that one short. But
they all shake your understanding of reality. By the end, even the most obvious things might start to feel strange. So please pay close attention.
You will persist after you die.
You're telling me I'm going somewhere.
Yes.
God is outside of time and space.
God distributes over time and space, and there's some left over. Time and space is static. It's a display.
Yeah.
Imagine that you're a little homunculus inside a computer display, like the Matrix, for example, okay? God not only distributes over that, but there's a whole other domain where God exists. And that's the processing domain. That's the non-terminal domain. We're living in the display of that simulation. In addition to the display, there's also
I'm showing you this because this is one of the most interesting ways I've heard this explained that also includes science.
a processing aspect, okay? And God captures both of those things. It captures both the display and the processing. What is reality? Is reality just stuff out there?
No.
Reality has a mental aspect. And I'm saying that consciousness exists in every part of the universe because those are the quanta.
No, that's what I'm asking. Are you telling me that this table is conscious?
In that sense, yes. Generically conscious.
Are angels and demons real?
Yes.
God is real, angels are real, demons are real. Is the devil real?
Oh, yes.
Let me tell you something very important about the man you just saw, Chris Langan. Renowned for his extraordinary intellect, with an IQ estimated to be between 195 and 210, he developed the CTMU, a revolutionary theory about reality. Let me briefly explain what it means. The CTMU, or Cognitive Theoretic Model of the Universe, suggests that everything in reality, from consciousness to physics to God, is interconnected within a system that operates like a self-aware computer, processing and displaying information. Now, let's hear Chris Langan explain this in his own words.
If we're talking about a theory of everything, the first question we have to establish, does God exist?
Yes.
Simple as
Yes. The reality has an identity, okay? The identity is that as which something exists. Matter of fact, when you say the word reality, you're naming an identity. It is, you're identifying something. That's what the CTMU says. It just comes up with the mathematical structure that you need to build a reality out of that, you see? So you come up with that identity and then you search it for its properties. You see, once you've built the preliminary framework, then you start deducing the properties of this identity, and you find out that those properties match those of God as described in most of the world's major religions. You can deny the existence of God, or are its properties such that God definitely has to exist? And the answer is God exists. Properties of the central substance and central principle of reality, those properties are attributed to God, including, of course, things like you have the 3 O's: omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence, but then you've also got consciousness. God has to be sentient.
We're not just defining God out of existence. Sometimes you'll hear people say God exists, but they'll give God such a weak and shallow definition that the God that they're describing has no relation to the God that we conceive of. You're saying, no, God himself is conscious and therefore personal?
Yes. You can establish a personal relationship with God. We're images of God. You know what an image is? It's basically the product of a mapping. God maps himself into each human being.
Is your claim a pantheistic claim that God is the universe or the universe is God and that's that? Or no? Or is God outside of the universe and created?
God is greater than, well, what is the universe?
Reality has an identity that can be studied like anything else that exists. When we examine it, we find three main features: complete knowledge, ultimate power, and presence everywhere. These exactly match what religions say about God. This isn't just a theory. God is conscious and aware, creating direct connections with humans by putting part of himself into each person. This means we can have real relationships with God, not just believe in him as an idea. The mathematical structure behind this shows that God must exist because reality needs him to work properly. He's not just the concept we created, but the central force that makes everything possible and keeps it working. This leads to a crucial question about how God relates to our universe. Is God the same thing as the universe? Or is God something bigger that includes but isn't limited to the universe? To answer this, we need to look at modern theories about how our universe works, particularly the simulation hypothesis.
You ever hear of the simulation hypothesis?
Yes.
Okay, well, the simulation hypothesis is basically the idea that the reality we see around us, physical reality, is simulated on some sort of an automaton or a computer. God is more panentheistic. The idea is that you've got the physical universe that you see around you, but God is not confined to the physical universe. Okay. See, there's an ordinary pantheist assumes that God is somehow confined to the universe, that there is just what we see around us and God is in every piece of it. God is distributed over it. Yeah. But it's a little bit more complex than that, because this part of the universe that we see around us cannot exist just by itself. Yeah. Okay? There are certain things that it entails. And when you go into those entailments, that's how you get to God. That's how you get to the identity of reality. But to get back to the simulation hypothesis, that we're living in the display of that simulation. In addition to the display, there is also a processing aspect. And God, it captures both of those things. It captures both the display and the processor.
What do you mean? I hate to put it in.
Well, I mean, okay, here's the display. You realize the display contains states.
Yep.
Okay, you see things, the objects contain states. States are static. Yep. That's why they're called states. Yeah. Okay, static. How do they change? Well, they have to be processed. Something has to be processed. Yeah. And in the calculus, for example, those are tiny.
Thank you. Yeah. So he's using this more as an analogy that God is everywhere, everything, all the time. And this is just a way to illustrate it to help us understand.
Little infinitesimal intervals, okay? But they are not actually contained in the states themselves. They have a neighborhood, a little tangent space or what have you, where you can sort of draw little vectors that suggest that some kind of processing is going on. But the idea of being a state and being a process, those are two different things. Yeah. To the ordinary way of looking at it. It turns out that you can't properly describe reality and causation at all unless you put those things together somehow. And that's what it takes God to do. God provides the processing functionality for your state.
The universe works in a way similar to a complex computer system with two main parts: what we can see and experience, the display, and what makes everything work behind the scenes, the processor. This idea comes from the simulation hypothesis, which suggests our reality might be like a sophisticated simulation, but God isn't just part of the system. He's bigger than it and controls both aspects. What makes this understanding unique is that everything we see exists in different states, like frozen moments in time. These states need something to make them change and move forward, and that's where God's role becomes crucial. He provides the processing power that makes everything work together, not just maintaining the universe, but actively participating in its operation. This understanding of how reality works leads us to a deeper question about consciousness. How do we, as conscious beings, fit into this complex system of display and processing? The answer involves something called quantum mechanics and identity operators.
Now, how do I make sense of consciousness?
Well, ordinarily, quantum mechanics, you know what quantization is?
I know the word.
Yeah. Well, you decide what the ultimate irreducible objects are. Mm-hmm. It turns out that in order to quantize that theory that I was talking about, that theory of identity, where you've got the display and you've got the processor, and it's handling both. It turns out that in order to handle both of those things, you need a certain kind of quantum. That quantum is called an identity operator. God is the identity. So obviously these little quanta, they have to be, they're doing things, they're processing, so we can call them operators, right? They are identity operators. Okay, the identity operator it takes input from the outside world, recognizes it or accepts it using syntax, processes it, and then returns it to the world as external state.
No, that's what I'm asking. Are you telling me that this table is conscious?
In that sense, yes. Generically conscious. It's relying on our consciousness to do it. There's levels of quanta. These are tertiary quanta. They're all put together using physical localistic forces, right? But those are underdeterminative. They don't fully determine what happens. Why? The Heisenberg uncertainty principle, for example, it tells you that the quantum rules are probabilistic.
Consciousness works through a system of identity operators, special elements that take information from the world, process it, and return it back. This isn't just about human consciousness. Everything has some level of awareness, even simple objects like tables. The difference is in...
This reminds me right now, I do have a video. It's actually, I think it's an audio set to a static picture. But it's called Who Is This God Guy? I made several years ago. Anyways, go take a look and tell me what you think.
The levels. Humans have a more complex form of consciousness, while objects have a simpler version. What makes this understanding revolutionary is how it connects to quantum mechanics, where things aren't completely determined but work on probability. This means consciousness isn't just observing reality, it's actively participating in it. The way we process and interact with reality affects how it manifests. This understanding of consciousness naturally raises questions about free will. If everything has some level of consciousness and nothing is fully determined, what does this mean for our ability to make choices?
Now, you've mentioned two things that raise a new question for me, which is you mentioned this idea of simulation, just the simulation or self-simulation, and you've mentioned us doing things. So then it would seem to me we have to tackle the question, do we really do much of anything at all in the sense, do we have free will?
Yes, we do.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. I always thought we did.
Well, yes, we have to have free will. I was discussing with you earlier the idea of a fixed array. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, now, modern physics know basically what you've got is you've got a bunch of quantum fields in superposition, and then those fields consist of little fluctuations, little quantum fluctuations, right? Reality is actually generative, okay? It's not just a fixed manifold. Everything is being created all the time, not just our states. Our states are being recreated, right? When I look at you, I'm seeing Michael Knowles, okay? I'm seeing you sitting there, but that means that I'm seeing your boundary. I'm seeing what distinguishes you from the external environment.
Right. Well, it's sort of like a little baby, right? Has trouble recognizing the limits of things and recognizing what some individual object might be from, the glass on the table. They have trouble distinguishing those.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Okay, the baby has to learn to distinguish those boundaries. And it has to receive the right visual cues at the right age so that it can actually learn how to do that.
Yeah.
The concept of free will is explained through modern physics and quantum mechanics. Unlike a fixed, predetermined universe, our reality is constantly being created and recreated. When we observe something like looking at another person, we're not just passively seeing them, but actively participating in creating reality by recognizing boundaries and distinctions. What makes this understanding powerful is how it connects to quantum fields and fluctuations. Reality isn't like a movie playing out in a predetermined way. It's more like a continuous process of creation where we actively participate. This explains why babies must learn to distinguish objects and boundaries. They're learning to participate in this creative process of reality. This view of reality as an active, creative process where we have genuine free will leads us to question what happens when we die.
So, speaking of this non-terminal domain, in a really basic question, I'm not going to ask you if I'm going to go to heaven or hell, but will I go to either heaven or hell?
You will persist after you die. Okay? Where you go depends on who Michael Knowles really is.
But you're telling me I'm going somewhere.
Yes.
You're confident of that. I don't just evaporate. I don't just turn into oblivion.
Well, you can. If you displease God, that's exactly what's going to happen to you.
Here's
God
what
is
I
going
like.
to cut you off, and he's going to say, I can't see him anymore. He's going to turn away from you, and then you won't be able to reunite. Salvation will be impossible for you because salvation means that God has got to pull you back into himself.
Right.
Okay, but God doesn't want to see you anymore. He doesn't even know you exist. He knows your physical body is there, but he's not interested anymore because you hate him, you deny his existence, you offend him, so he's not going to look at you, right? So now what happens? Well, okay, you're dead. You still want to live. There's something in you that still desperately wants to live, so it's still going to be there.
So that's what I like is he talks about how if you deny his existence, like you're not my God, I don't know you. And scripture says he will turn away and say, I never knew you. I don't know you. But it's like anything. If we say you don't exist, it's non-existence. It's non-existent. It doesn't exist.
What happens now? Well, you try to create your own world for yourself, but if you're a bad person, you're an evil person, what kind of world is that going to be? It's going to be an evil world, and that's what we call hell.
If we are active participants in creating reality, does this participation continue after death? The afterlife isn't just a matter of belief. It's presented as a logical continuation of consciousness after death. Our existence continues, but where we go depends entirely on our relationship with God. This relationship isn't just about following rules. It's about maintaining a connection with the source of reality itself. What makes this understanding unique is how it explains hell.
And that's why it's unique, because it doesn't depend on what we do. It depends on relationship. On your decision in closeness of relationship.
It's not a place of punishment, but a natural consequence of separation from God. When someone rejects God, they try to create their own reality, but without connection to the source of all reality, this self-created world reflects their internal state. If that state is evil, their reality becomes hellish. This concept of separation from God and the creation of alternative realities leads to question about other spiritual beings and the nature of evil itself.
So we've gotten through death, judgment, heaven and hell, free will, and God. Are angels and demons real?
Yes.
God is
Yes,
real,
that's a
angels are real, demons are real. Is the devil real?
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, it has to be. You know, we were talking about Michael Knowles being surrounded by the medium and, you know, you've got boundary. Well, God has a boundary too. He's got a very tight boundary. He's perfect. He can't take anything resembling imperfection, right? He can't take it into himself because that would be a contradiction. Okay? So God needs an antithesis in order to be properly defined. What is that antithesis? Anti-God, or Satan. So it definitely exists. Now, Satan isn't coherent because, you know, he basically hates existence. Nevertheless, he gains coherence through human beings, through secondary tellers, as they're called in the CTMU. In other words, Satan can nucleate power structures, for example, you know, things like corporations and governments, where you've got people in there that can be acquired as resources, and there's a kind of skeleton, you know, a corporate organization, a governmental, you know, organization that's holding them together, holding them in place, that can be exploited by Satan.
The spiritual realm includes beings
Perfect.
like angels and demons, but most importantly, it explains the necessity of evil through the concept of boundaries. God, being perfect, has absolute boundaries. He cannot contain imperfection. This necessity for boundaries creates the possibility of an opposite force, represented by Satan. What's fascinating is how evil operates. Satan isn't powerful on his own, but gains strength through human structures and choices. Unlike God, who is complete in himself, evil needs human participation to function, often working through organized systems like corporations or governments. This explains why evil often appears systematic and structured rather than just random or chaotic. This understanding brings us full circle to the original question of God's existence, showing how the entire structure of reality, including both good and evil, requires a perfect being at its center.
It took me 30 years to figure out. I can explain what physicists in 100 years have not understood. Nobody can understand why quantum computers work, because their actual operation cannot occur in space-time. There is a deeper reality where the feelings and fields exist, the meaning of information exists, and from that world, you have this world that is a classical world where you can get classical information, and we think that the only world that exists is this world. But this world we have constructed with our bodies.
What you're about to hear might completely rewire how you see yourself, your body, your mind, even your place in the universe. Federico Faggin isn't just any scientist. He's the man who invented the microprocessor. See, in every computer, each switch, a bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Who is this God guy? I'll show you what the thumbnail looks like, so you can see that real quick. And then you can go look at it if you want to, or listen to it. Share. Okay, and then here it is. So there's the thumbnail right there. And is the volume down? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, that was done several years ago. I re-edited it just a little bit. But anyway, there's not a lot I could do with it. But anyways, it's just audio with the static picture there. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. I am so sorry, you guys, about the technical difficulties earlier, and it'll be better tomorrow. Hopefully, at least if I'm not feeling better, I'll be doing better tomorrow as far as operating here. And then who was that? Yeah, Retro Plank. Hopefully Retro comes back and gives us another shot here. It's not always that bad. Anyway, I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you, Cisco. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. I think there was others of you. Jets. Anyways, I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time, and we'll get together then. In the meantime, if there's anything you want to share, feel free to email me or DM me wherever you find me, and we'll talk soon. See you soon. Bye-bye.
This is a better life. From scars to stars, from pain scandal, heart to heart. Teresa, better life. Real is where the reset starts. No playing small. We rise, we fall. We laugh, we do it all. A better life is one brave call. Teresa, better life. Let's build a better life. Let's build a better life. A better life. Teresa, better life.